Lipstick Face. In Insidious, the lipstick face demon is the most powerful and iconic entity in the whole franchise. He starts going after Dalton Lambert, a boy who has the rare ability to astral project and travel through the Further while he sleeps. The Further is a dark dimension trapped between the world of the living, heaven and hell, a kind of purgatory packed with tormented souls that never moved on. And every one of those souls wants the same thing, to live again. So anyone who walks in there becomes a target. And that's exactly what the lipstick face wants. His goal is to trap Dalton's soul inside that place. That's why the boy slips into something like a coma while his soul stays lost in that dimension. The creature's origin is never fully explained, which makes the character even scarier. The franchise mythology suggests he's an extremely old entity, banished to the Further, where he ended up becoming one of the most feared creatures in that place. The most interesting part is how he hunts. Instead of attacking right away, he'd rather play with his victims. He shows up hiding in dark corners, quietly appears behind people, and terrorizes the whole family before trying a possession. While he waits for the perfect opening, he spends his time sharpening those huge claws to the sound of Tiptoe Through the Tulips, and his look has an explanation almost nobody knows about. According to the head of the makeup department, the concept was that this creature has no color at all. It's darkness inside darkness. The only way it found to build a face and scare the kids it hunts was to paint its own face. That's literally where the nickname Lipstick Face comes from. A fun fact is that the demon was played by Joseph Bishara, the guy who actually composed the franchise's score, The Dancing Boy. One of the strangest scenes happens when Renee Lambert starts to notice her house is being invaded by spirits from the Further. Among those apparitions is the Dancing Boy, an entity that looks like a kid playing around, but hides a way more disturbing story. With old clothes, suspenders, and a flat cap, he looks like he came out of the early 1900s. Except the look is deceiving. According to behind-the-scenes info, the spirit isn't really a child, but a grown man who had dwarfism when he was alive. The character was played by Ben Wolfe, an actor who also had that condition, which makes the ghosts look even more unique. Like other entities from the Further, his goal is tied to Dalton Lambert. While the boy stays trapped in there, his body is left vulnerable in the real world. So a bunch of spirits try to find a way to take that body and get out of that dimension. But what makes the Dancing Boy so memorable is the way he scares you. Unlike a monster that just shows up attacking, he acts in an almost childish, mocking way. He runs around the house, dances to Tiptoe Through the Tulips by Tiny Tim, and looks like he's having fun while he terrorizes Renee. And all of that works exactly because it mixes something innocent with something completely wrong. Long-haired fiend. This is one of those entities that shows up for just a few minutes, but leaves a huge impression. Also known as the Ghoul, he's an evil spirit that circles the Lambert family while Dalton stays trapped in the Further. The movies never explain exactly who he was in life, but everything points to an extremely violent man. After he died, his soul ended up stuck in the Further, keeping that same cruel personality. His look helps sell that idea. Long, messy hair, a corpse-like face, and a black overcoat. Unlike the lipstick face demon, who has a clear plan, the long-haired fiend works almost like his right hand. He helps protect the main demon's lair and tries to stop any attempt to rescue Dalton. He also takes any chance he gets to go after the Lamberts, showing up behind doors, windows, and hallways, always waiting for the right moment to scare them. But the creature takes two memorable beatings. In the first movie, Josh manages to fight back and shove him into the darkness. And in the sequel, Elise's spirit throws him out a window with the flashlight beam. And that's exactly why his face keeps getting more and more destroyed. Even so, he always comes back. Doll girl. Still in the first Insidious, one of the strangest appearances happens when Josh Lambert goes into the Further to try to find his son Dalton. While he goes through this twisted version of the world of the living, he runs into a house that looks pretty normal, but hides one of the most disturbing stories. The doll girl. Everything points to her living back in the 1950s. In life, she had serious mental problems and during a breakdown, ended up taking the lives of her whole family. After death, she and her victims got stuck in that place, condemned to relive that same moment over and over. Unlike the big demons of the franchise, the doll girl doesn't seem interested in possessing bodies or escaping to the world of the living. She just stays trapped in her own macabre cycle. The curious part is that even though the doll girl is the one who gets the most attention from fans, she doesn't work alone. The presence of the parents and the twin sister makes the whole sequence way more disturbing. While the girl is the one repeating the massacre, the other three seem to completely accept the eternal cycle they're stuck in. The doll girl is only leading that macabre ritual. When Josh walks into the house, the family is standing still in the living room, but all he has to do is keep going to find the girl holding a gun. She doesn't say a single word. Right after that, the shots echo through the house, and in seconds, she shows up again surrounded by her family's bodies, wearing a completely uncomfortable smile. That scene is short, but it shows an important thing about the Further. Not every spirit is in there for the same reason. Some of them just repeat the worst moment of their lives forever. Bride in Black. In the first and the second movie, the terrifying bride in black seems like just another ghost from the Further. But the truth is, behind the wedding dress and the dark veil is Parker Crane, a man whose life was destroyed by his own mother's abuse.
My name is Parker!
As a kid, Parker was raised by Michelle Crane, a completely unhinged woman who insisted he was a girl named Marilyn. She forced him to wear dresses and wigs and act like a girl, punishing any attempt he made to be who he really was. Years of psychological violence ended up destroying his mind, and as an adult, Parker became a serial killer known as the Bride in Black, racking up victims while he wore that macabre disguise. After he died, his spirit got stuck in the Further, but he kept getting manipulated by his own mother. That's when he found Josh Lambert, who had the rare gift of astral projection. Jealous of the childhood he never had, Parker decided he'd steal Josh's life. For years, he shows up quietly in old photographs, getting closer and closer, waiting for the perfect moment to take his body. The chance shows up when Josh travels through the Further to save Dalton. With the body empty, Parker manages to take his place in the world of the living and traps the real Josh's soul in the spirit dimension. So the Bride in Black isn't really a demon, but the ghost of a human being completely destroyed by his own trauma. That makes him one of the most tragic villains in the whole franchise. Woman in White. In Part 2, we find out that Parker Crane's mother, Michelle Crane, is also an entity known as the Woman in White. She's one of the cruelest figures in the franchise because her biggest power was never physical strength, it was manipulation. Not even death was able to end the control she had over her son. In the Further, Michelle keeps manipulating Parker, treating him like a puppet. After he takes Josh Lambert's body, she's the one who convinces him he needs to kill the whole Lambert family to keep the body from rotting. It's all a lie to feed her need to keep spreading suffering. Unlike other silent entities in the franchise, Michelle is aggressive and explosive. She shows up in a white dress, breaks into the Lambert house, attacks Renee, and keeps giving her son orders even after she's dead. The character's end happens during the showdown in the Further. Elise Renier figures out that all of Parker's strength comes from his mother's influence, and she uses a rocking horse to destroy that connection. Without Michelle to control him, Parker finally loses his hold on Josh, closing out one of the most tragic cycles of abuse in Insidious. Dark-haired woman. Even though some fans mix her up with the Bride in Black, the dark-haired woman is a different entity inside the Insidious universe. In life, she was one of the women Parker kidnapped and killed, back when he was still a serial killer. After her death, her soul got stuck in the Further, carrying the trauma of her own death and of the other victims who suffered at the killer's hands. Her main goal is to try to reveal the truth about Parker and stop him from making new victims. That's why she tries to talk to Dalton Lambert using the tin can, phone the boy kept in his room. Her most memorable manifestation happens when Dalton starts getting messages coming from the Further. The woman's voice comes through asking for help and trying to warn him about the dangers hidden in that place. Little by little, it gets clear that she isn't a threat, but a desperate soul trying to be heard. KeyFace. Now in Insidious, the last key, the main threat, is KeyFace, one of the cruelest demons living in the Further. Unlike a lot of spirits in the franchise, he was never human. He's an ancient entity that lives in the depths of that dimension and feeds on the fear, the pain, and the hate of his victims. His story ties directly to the medium Elise Renier. When she was still a kid, she lived in a house right next to an old prison, a place marked by decades of suffering. Locked in the basement by her own father, Elise gets tricked by a child's voice. Without realizing it, she opens a red door to the Further and frees KeyFace, who immediately murders her mother and starts influencing her family. The demon's big goal isn't just to kill. He likes to imprison souls. To do that, he uses his scariest feature, fingers that end in huge rusty keys. With them, he locks his victims. First, he steals their voice so they can't ask for help. Then he traps their soul in the Further, leaving the body stuck between life and death. On top of the physical strength, KeyFace also manipulates people emotionally, amplifying trauma and violent impulses. That's how he influenced Elise's father, and years later, ran the same cycle again with other people living in the house. The character was played by Javier Botet, a Spanish actor known for playing terrifying creatures thanks to his extremely thin, stretched-out build, the Wheezing Demon. In Part 3 of the franchise, the main threat is the Man Who Can't Breathe, also known as the Wheezing Demon. While other entities just want to possess a body, this one would rather completely destroy his victims psychologically before finishing them off. It all starts when Quinn Brenner, a teenager who's still hurting over her mother's death, goes to the medium Elise Renier to try to talk to her. The problem is that in the Insidious universe, when someone calls out to a spirit, every entity in the Further hears it too. That's how the Man Who Can't Breathe finds his next victim. According to the franchise creator Lee Wannell, the character stands for cancer and the suffering caused by terminal illness. His look drives that idea home. An extremely thin man, wearing an old oxygen oxygen mask and breathing heavy, like he's stuck forever in the last moments of his life. After he latches onto Quinn, he turns her recovery into a nightmare. Breathing sounds echo through the house. Dark footprints show up in the hallways, and he starts messing with the girl physically and emotionally. His real goal is to push her to take her own life so he can trap her soul in the Further, where he keeps his victims as eternal prisoners. On top of that, the demon can change his appearance, taking the form of loved ones to trick his targets, including Elise's dead husband. His origin is never confirmed, but everything points to a man who died alone in a hospital, eaten up by the disease and by the resentment. Smash Face. In The Red Door, one of the most different entities in the franchise is Smash Face, the name given to the spirit of Ben Burton, Josh Lambert's father. Unlike the demons that live in the Further, he isn't an evil creature but a soul trapped in that dark place, trying to reach his own family. Ben had the same ability as Josh and Dalton, the power to astral project and travel to the Further while he slept. But in a time when that phenomenon was completely unknown, his family believed he had mental problems. Unable to control his trips and tormented by the entities in that place, Ben took his own life, and everybody assumed he had simply given up. But the reason wasn't despair, it was sacrifice. Ben believed the ability was hereditary and that if he died, the curse would die with him. The note he left had one single line. "This ends with me." What he didn't know is that the curse had already been passed down. After his death, his spirit got stuck in the Further and took on a deformed look, which is where the nickname Smash Face comes from. His destroyed face reflects the trauma of his death and makes him look like a threat to anyone who crosses his path. But unlike other spirits in the franchise, Ben doesn't want to hurt anybody. His real goal is to find Josh again and reveal the truth about the Lambert family's past. Since Josh had his memories blocked by hypnosis, he grew up believing his father had simply walked out on the family. So Ben tries to guide him through scary apparitions, visions of his death, and clues hidden in old memories. In the end, Josh figures out that his father wasn't a monster, but a victim of the same supernatural forces that chased his family for generations. Crawling Demon. In the fifth movie of the franchise, the Crawling Demon is a terrifying creature Josh Lambert runs into while he's trying to get back the lost memories of his past. Even though he only shows up for a few moments, his scene is one of the most uncomfortable in the movie. The Crawling Demon's origin has never been revealed. Nobody knows who he was in life or what his real goals are. He's simply a predatory entity from the Further, known for his abnormal movements and his terrifying look. His main appearance happens when Josh gets an MRI to look into the memory gaps and the constant confusion he's been dealing with. During the exam, the lights in the room start failing, and he's left completely isolated inside the machine. While he's stuck in there, Josh notices a presence getting closer. Out of nowhere, the creature comes crawling out of the darkness, slowly moving up to his face. The moment turns a routine medical procedure into pure psychological terror. Shortly after, Josh wakes up freaked out and finds out that, for the doctors, he was only out for a few minutes. The scene suggests he had a quick, involuntary astral projection, making contact with the Further again. The Crawling Demon has an important job in the story. He's the first proof that the supernatural forces are still going after Josh. His attack ends up being the trigger that starts breaking the memory block created years before, bringing the past back up to the surface. The new movie. In Insidious, Out of the Further, the Lambert family gets pushed aside and we're introduced to a new lead. Gemma, a young mother who moves back into the house where she grew up, this time with her daughter. Except Gemma finds out she has a rare ability. She can astral project and get into the Further. But her power comes with one terrifying difference. While characters like Josh Lambert and Elise Rainier can only travel to that place, Gemma has the ability to bring entities out of the Further and into the real world permanently. And of course, that gets the attention of the wrong creatures. When the demons realize she can be a doorway between the two worlds, they start going after the young woman to turn our reality into their own territory. And the biggest news is the villain. Cyrus breaks the oldest rule in the franchise. All the big Insidious demons are mute. The lipstick face didn't say a single word. Cyrus, on the other hand, talks to his victims. And according to Lynn Shay herself, he's funny. She compared the character to Dracula. The most interesting detail is that this new movie completely changes the logic of the franchise. In the earlier chapters, the biggest fear was somebody getting trapped inside the Further. Now it's the other way around, and that's where it gets interesting, because it opens the door for classic demons of the franchise to come back. In fact, the trailers already confirmed the return of the lipstick face and the doll girl. On top of that, Lynn Shay is back as Elise Rainier, who shows up again to help this new family understand the dangers of that world. With Jacob Chase directing and James Wan and Jason Blum producing, the 6th chapter promises to expand the Further's mythology even more. But tell me, are you excited for this new movie? On screen is a video where we show great horror villains trapped in terrible movies. Click and watch it. I'll see you there.